So this is a quick tutorial on Crossfire antenna orientation. Um, Best practice is you want to have your antennas pointing at each other in this configuration. And the reason being is that the ends of these arms are null, so areas where there's little to no reception, basically no reception. I call it the cone of shame. It's basically a cone that comes out like this, and this is going to happen on any antenna, 5.8, 900, where you have a cone that comes out the top and bottom where there's little to no reception. So basically, what you want to do is have those pointed at each other like that, and you want to avoid pointing it like that. So this video is going to be full of a bunch of do as I say, not as I do setups, but this is how I run Crossfire. So on most of my setups I have it horizontal because it's easiest to mount, and I'm not going like miles and miles and miles. So one of the things you want to do is you want to polarize your antennas. You want them to be the same polarization. With this, I am horizontal all the time. So I'm going to run my transmitter antenna horizontal. If I run it 90 degrees the other way instead, what's going to happen is I'm going to have cross polarization. I'm going to have a little bit of reception problems. As you get further out, it becomes exponentially worse. On the diamond antenna, I see a lot of people running this the wrong way, where they're tilting it back. You want front, back, and then these are going to be your nulls up the sides. Realistically, if you're running vertical on your aircraft, which is what you should be doing, but it's just hard to run, then you'll want this straight up and down like this. If you're running horizontal as I am, you're going to want it running like this, with this pointed at the aircraft and this behind it. If you're running a dipole that's like the tuned dipole, this is not the tuned dipole, but it's somewhat like it, you have null here and null in the bottom there. So the other setup I see with Crossfire is people like to run the 90 degrees. I actually have one set up here with the diversity 90 degrees. One thing you want to avoid is you want this 90 degrees or more. You do not want it less. As you go less, it's going to actually hurt your signal more and more. When you run it in this configuration, when you're actually flying out, you have one of the nulls pointed at yourself. With the regular nano just by itself, this setup will work for like freestyle around yourself and probably up to a mile or so, maybe a little bit further without issue. But what's going to happen is you're going to have issues with range on this setup, like max range. On normal flying, you won't have issues. As you go further this way, it gets worse, so you kind of want to have it more this way. On this one, I have it like extended further, but you really have to worry about those nulls as much as you would if you were running it this way. Proper setup is you want this as straight as possible, so like this, like the Immortal T. The other thing too is you want to make sure that your antenna is not blocked by carbon fiber. Sometimes I see, this is kind of shitty, like I said, do as I say, not as I do. You want to keep this out and exposed as much as possible. On the arms, it works a little bit better. You have a lot less covered up. I've never had issues with this one for the range that I fly. But if you're going for max range, max distance, you want it vertical so that null points towards the sky and the ground, and you want to match the polarization on your aircraft with your transmitter.